Hey everyone, this is KAV Temperley here from Eskimo Joe, and I'm pretty sure what brings me here today is talking about a song we had just have put out called The First Time. So over to you.
Beautiful, Cav. Thanks for joining us tonight. We've got a fair bit to get through, but I think that'll be just a good starting point.
Great.
So, as you say, bro, you recently released a single, The First Time, which is the band's first new music since 99 Ways back in 2019. So, been a while between drinks.
Yeah, I think 99 Ways came out about 2021, I think, and then I think 2020 we had another song called Say Something, but this is certainly the first song that we put out post COVID where we've actually played some shows in front of people and then recorded a song, which is a very different feeling.
Right. You might want to get your PR team to check that press release, mate, because you've.
Yeah, man. I'll crack down on them.
So, how's it been received, mate? Like, do you find the fan base is still out there and hungry?
I think it's actually where we've hit a real purple patch, actually. Since we saw you at Sandstone Point, all of the shows we've been playing have been these kind of big, kind of almost nostalgia fests. And we've noticed that, the gigs are filled with people who are like in their early 20s to people who are in their 60s and 70s. And so, they're people who would have been, 5 or 6 when Black Fingernails Red Wine first came out, and, people who would have discovered us when we first put out Sweater. So we've kind of hit this really interesting place where we're not like cool or uncool anymore. We just kind of occupy this Eskimo Joe shaped hole in the music industry, which is great. And so putting out a new song has been wicked. Definitely the biggest pickup we've had at radio since, kind of 2010, I guess. So a little while. But yeah, everyone's receiving it really well.
Yeah. And the songs, it's pretty much a reflection of the band's history together, mate. So can you go into a bit more detail on that?
Yeah, well, the video clip certainly is a bit of a nostalgia fest of, all of these highlights over the years. Some when I saw it put together, it was kind of blew my mind because I haven't looked at any of that footage for a long time. But the song itself, because like I said, we'd just been playing all these kind of nostalgia festivals. We'd just come off the road from doing this amazing festival called Good Things, which was like a whole lot of bands, some of them new, some of them old. But there was this tangible feeling when we'd go out in front of people and this kind of electricity. We were playing these shows where it was like 30,000 people deep, and it felt like we're back at, the big day out back in the day. And so yeah, this real feeling of nostalgia was hanging around. So we kind of got into the studio that you can see behind us in the end of December, early January, and got together and started to jam. I had a bit of a chorus idea, and really, yeah, this idea of, looking back at, all of those things in, from when we were in our 20s, but, like the first time you smoked a cigarette, or, someone you had a crush on, or all these things back in the day, and looking back at them and how we often kind of look back through rose-colored glasses as opposed to really what they were, which was a much more complex and nuanced thing.
Yeah. And it would have been a lot of fun putting that together. Like you say, there would have been a lot of memories brought back putting it together. But did you come across any footage that you've watched and you've gone, nah, I better not put that in there?
Well, there's probably bits and pieces of that. Often, they're reflections on where you were in your personal life at that point in time. And you're like, oh man, I was in a pretty dark place. I don't think I really want to revisit that.
Mm.
But no, it was mainly just smiles all around when we watched that video, because the guy who put it together is a guy called Timothy Nelson, and he actually plays in Eskies. He's a keyboard player, but he's an amazingly talented guy. And we just said, hey, do you want to chuck together a bit of a lyric video? And here's all of our archives, so just go for it. And he went to town and, yeah, put together this whole thing of like, yeah, all, from, playing at things like the Big Day Out and ARIA Awards, and, old Channel V footage and bits and pieces. So it was just amazing to look back, because we don't sit around and review old footage, and that's not what I do in my evenings. But it was so that was the first time that I'd gone back and looked at a lot of that footage, and yeah, it was just put a big smile on my face. It was great.
Cool. And let's hope the press release has got this one right, mate. But it says that the song provides an epic new chapter of music for the band. Would you agree with that?
I would say yes, that's true. Possibly because, I guess if you rewind a little bit, when we took a little bit of a break in 2013, we'd been in this 2-year cycle of like writing a record, recording the record, touring the record, and by the time we got to about 2013, we were pretty we'd been living in each other's pockets for a long time, and we were taking it way too seriously. So we just needed to go away and do some other projects. And like I said, we came back together and during COVID and started to record some new music again. And but this feels like, not to quote the song, the first time that we've come together and really just kind of been in that really sweet spot where, when we were recording albums like A Song As a City and Black Fingernails Red Wine, especially, like the band were all kind of pulling in the same direction. And we knew exactly what we were trying to create. There was no one going, oh, well, this needs to be a hip hop album or whatever. We knew exactly what kind of album we were going to make. So with the first time, it feels pretty similar, like we've all been off doing these other musical projects. So we're able to come back together and really just enjoy being an Eskimo Joe. And all of our friends who've known us for a long time, who we all comment on each other's records when we put them out, but they all kind of reached out and were like, oh man, this sounds like an Eskimo Joe song. And I think in the past, most bands will tell you the same thing. You always kick against the last record that you do. So if you've done this kind of big rock and roll record, the next record, you're like, oh, we're going to do an electro album, because you just want to kind of, you just have this thing where you can't help yourself but want to do something different. Whereas this time around, we're like, you know what? We love being an Eskimo Joe. We love what Eskimo Joe is. Let's just make Eskimo Joe music. And so as far as a new chapter of epic music, yeah, I'd say that's absolutely correct, because we're more than ever just really comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah, fantastic, bro. And I suppose the big question is it a standalone single or part of a bigger album picture?
I don't know if we're going to get back into the studio and make a full record, because, we take that shit way too seriously. We're like, when back in the day when we were making records, like we treated it like our job. We'd get in there and work 5 days a week. And, and by the end of that time, we have a whole lot of songs that would go on a record. We pretty much approach it in the same way. So we've only probably got enough time to do about 2 songs a year, because we've all got all these other projects that we balance as well as Eskies. And that's what makes us, like I said, really enjoy Eskimo Joe. So we'll probably put out another song before the year's out. And if that gets received as well as the first time, then we'll probably keep doing that. We'll put out, a song or two a year, and hopefully that'll keep people happy enough. But it's certainly been fun playing the song live. So yeah.
Shit on. Now, speaking of live, mate, you recently wrapped up a series of shows as part of Lookout Festival with Live and Birds of Tokyo and Incubus, bro. Like, how was that? That's a dream lineup.
Yeah, it was great. It was, like I said, playing these kind of almost nostalgia festivals where you look out in the audience and most people are of that generation where they probably still own your album on CD. It's awesome. All the shows pretty much sold out. There was about 12,000 people per show, which is just a awesome amount of people to play to. It doesn't feel too big, but you can kind of really do a big stadium show. And yeah, all the bands were from that era. I mean, we always feel like the indie kids at those kind of festivals because we started as like a Triple J band, and we didn't really cross over into that kind of mainstream world until Black Fingernails Red Wine. So I always feel like the old ones out at those festivals, but we certainly had a really good time.
I was at the Sandstone Point one for that one as well, mate, and it just blew me away how many people were there. It's just I've been to a show there that's been that packed, man, and every band, like I forgot to mention the Superjesus before too, they were part of it. Yeah. Every band was just phenomenal. It was just a really good day of music.
Yeah, everyone was on fire. Everyone was putting in top effort. Everyone was happy to be there, from the bands on the stage to the audience. So yeah, it was a good day.
Shit, yeah. Now, as a band, mate, like you've been touring constantly for more than 2 decades now, man. So I hate to have to make you think in one of these interviews, but what sorts of things have you learned about yourself and your bandmates touring for so long?
I think we've learned that none of us still know who Stu is in the band.
Yeah.
He's just a man of mystery. No, I guess, we've kind of learned each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we've learned to rely on each other a lot in those ways and not even have to have a conversation about it. And we've been through years of having arguments about this and that, and we don't really argue anymore. We just have a lot of laughs when we go on the road. We kind of have, I guess, times where we're on the road and we'll have other people in the band. Like we often have session players who play with us because it's just the 3 of us when we make the records. So sometimes it'll be a really great combination of people, and touring will just be an absolute joy. And then sometimes it's just the wrong combination of people and it just feels like more of a job than other days. But most of the time these days, through all of the, highs and lows of being in Eskimo Joe, we play gigs like the Lookout Festival, and we have nothing but gratitude, for the position that we're in and the journey that we've had through it all. So as far as what we've learned about each other, I think we've probably just learned that the secret to being in a band for a long time is to actually be friends with each other.
Oh, that's so. So I thought you were going to come out with something big and epic then, and it turned into a love
Yeah.
story.
Well, I think that's pretty epic, personally.
Now, you've also just started a national acoustic theatre tour, mate, with completed shows in Ballarat and Werribee. How did they go?
Yeah, really good. We've just, like I said, been doing all of these rock and roll shows where, it's kind of like being a fruit seller at a fruit and veg market. You're like, come and buy my apples. That's what it's like being on stage for those shows. Whereas the acoustic shows, it's just the three of us, back to the OG three-piece. And you can create a really different atmosphere. It's like you play acoustically, you tell the stories behind the songs, you kind of approach things differently. And at the end of the shows, I tell so many long-winded stories that by the end of it, I'm always say, hey, look, we're going to come down to the merch stand and say hello, and maybe you guys tell us your stories. And we've been blown away by some of the stories that people have been telling us about their Eskimo journey. There's this one family we met on the weekend, and it was this Japanese guy who had immigrated to Australia in 2006. And the first two CDs he bought was A Song as a City and Black Fingernails, Red Wine. So
Wow.
Eskimo Joe became his Australian band. And now he's got three kids, and the whole family listens to the band. And when we did the Good Things Festival, his teenage son was up the front, for that show. So that stuff blows me away because your music living on past you and having this whole life. And, then there was this other family rocked up we called the Sweater Family because they were all wearing the sweater merch, except for the one, disgruntled teenage son who was wearing a Song as a City t-shirt, and they were all hating on him. And that stuff, I just love that. There's this generational thing where we become, for families, like the one band that all the family agrees that they can listen to. And we only get that by doing those acoustic shows because it's just a different feeling. We can kind of have those moments as opposed to the rock and roll thing, which is all a bit of a different energy.
Yeah. So to be fair to say that these shows are a little bit more intimate, I guess.
Yeah, they're intimate. Fans get to kind of hear what the song sounded like on acoustic guitar before they had all the bells and whistles on it. But it just, like I said, it just creates a different atmosphere. And that's really refreshing for us because we've just been on the road doing all these rock and roll shows. So to do something different. But hey, look, talk to me at the end of the year when I've done 30 odd dates and I'll probably be like, I'm over it. Give me some rock and roll, baby.
Speaking of those 30 dates, bro, like the tour picks up again in Liverpool and New South Wales on May the 25th. Got another date in New South Wales that travels through Queensland, West Australia, back to Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland, and finishes in Rockhampton on July the 28th. Like, that's a pretty decent run of shows, man.
Yeah, it's a whole lot. And like I said, we're really enjoying it at the moment, but I'm sure by the time we get to Rockhampton, sorry, Rockhampton, no, it'll either be amazing or we'll be over it. No, we won't be over it. We're weekend warriors. We go away, play a couple of shows. I mean, that's a pretty good job if you ask me.
Oh, yeah, man. And then I noticed there's also a few all ages shows in there too. So if people want to bring the kiddies along, they can have a look at the dates and pick and choose.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Get amongst it.
Very good one, mate. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time, bro. Always a pleasure speaking with you. I'll try and make it along to one of these Queensland shows for the acoustic.
Yeah, please do. Come and say good day.